Hey everyone. Ooh, let me. Okay, I had to adjust the volume because it was echoing. So, anyways, let's talk about Cutter, the reverse engineering tool. Now, today we're going to be installing Cutter on Kali, the VMware. Uh, I'm going to say the VMware instance known as Kali. Now, Kali is a great VMware. It's a great flavor or distribution of Linux. And unfortunately, before you even attempt this lab, I would like you to install either Kali or Ubuntu simply because Debian just doesn't have the dependencies necessary to get this going. Actually, we would have done Cutter prior to the winter break. However, it was literally taking me hours to try to figure out and dissect the issue, all the issues I was having with installing Cutter on Debian, and it just was a no go. So, unfortunately, here we are after winter break, and we are finally able to install Kali. So, I'm sorry, we're finally able to install Cutter on Kali. So, anyways, about Cutter. Now, Cutter is a free open source reverse engineering tool that gives you a visual way to inspect and understand compiled programs, like, for example, Windows EXEs or Linux binaries, without the need for the source code because, quite frankly, when we do run into malware, we are not going to see the source code. So the point of disassembly is taking that C file, running it through a disassembly reverse engineering program like Cutter, and so the fact of the matter is we won't have the source code. All we'll have is the malware. So when we run it through a reverse engineering tool like Cutter, we'll be able to crack and figure out what it's trying to do to us. So Cutter itself is built on top of the Ryzen reverse engineering framework, so it can analyze machine code, find functions, identify imports, and show you strings and metadata inside of a file. In Cutter, you can jump between graph views, disassembly views, and often a decompiler view to see higher level logic, then label functions and add comments as you figure things out. Now, for beginners, it's especially useful because it turns those mystery bytes, quote unquote, into readable views like the function view, string view, and import view, which helps you quickly spot things like hard coded URLs, suspicious commands, unusual library calls, and things to that effect. In malware analysis and in forensics, Cutter is commonly used to answer questions like what does this program do? What data does it contain? And what actions does it try to perform? All right, now let's get to actually installing this puppy. All right, let's talk about Cutter installation, configuration, and we're really going to be focusing on the idea of customization. Okay, and again, Cutter is one of many applications to deal with the concept of reverse engineering, exploitation binary wise, and static analysis. But Cutter isn't the only game in town. As they say, a ridiculous amount of reverse engineering tools. And there's a phrase I was going to say. It's almost a a sin of riches, if you will. Like there are so many tools for reverse engineering, it's almost sinful of how many tools that there are. Now, if you're on Windows, okay, you may want to try X64DBG. Okay, now Cutter is really great. That's what we're going to be doing today. That's really great if if you have Linux, if you have Unix, like for example Mac OS or Windows. So Cutter is great for portability. Ghidra is probably one of the best known reverse engineering tools that we have, and that was brought to us and given to us by the NSA. Now, similar tools, we have something called IDA Free and IDA Pro. Now, IDA Pro is probably the most feature-rich tool out there, but the problem is not everyone can afford IDA Pro. And then there's IATO as well. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to cutter.re, and then we're going to download Cutter, and we're going to download the app image, and then we're going to install Cutter. So here, once we've downloaded it, here is Cutter as it is shown located in downloads. Okay. We are then going to, here, one second. We're going to move it. What we're doing here is we're running MD5Sum on it to check to verify that the image matches the image download image, the download MD5Sum as located on the Kali website, on the Cutter website, my apologies. Then, what you're going to do, you're going to echo your path and install it into one of these locations so you can actually move it. Now, when you try to move it, you have to make sure that you are in sudo. You have to type in sudo before you move it. As you can see here, what they're trying to do is move it from downloads into user local bin, because user local bin is one of the directories that are in the path. Now, what the path allows you to do is it allows you to run it literally from anywhere. But the problem is anytime you manipulate that path, or anytime you want to move one of your applications to that path, you actually have to use sudo, because anything to do with that path requires, the highest of privileges. So you have to authenticate yourself first, and then you can move it. So the idea is to move the Apple image program into the path environment to be able to invoke it anywhere. Now, you can enable run by your current user without sudo. So in order to do that, you can change the mode of who can run it, and using the chmod u+x, so that user, you're adding execution privileges to the user. And we can actually invoke Cutter, and this is what you should see when you're completed, when you're done. Okay, hey everyone. Again, this is like the third time I'm making this video, because I keep on running into AV, audio visual problems, but I think we have it, hopefully we have it taken care of. So now, the biggest mistake I made, your instructor made, is that I was relying on an installation, a set of instructions that were probably a couple years old. And so if you are running Windows, okay, Microsoft Windows, those installation instructions might be okay. Simply because when you run a VMware installation, you're going to want to make sure it is consistent with your present host's architecture. So if you have a Windows computer or PC, it's on the AMD 64 architecture, so that's the type of VMware installation you're going to run. Now, if you're like me and hate money, you're going to be running an ARM64 type installation, and thus you're going to have to use a VMware architecture for the ARM64 architecture. So those of you like that have a MacBook with a M1, M2, M3, M4, the M5s are coming out soon. So if you have an M series MacBook, you're going to see you're going to have to use the ARM64 version. So this is the version that it is. Now I'm going to utilize the KDE net install for ARM64, and this just has the default. One second. Okay, this just has the default Windows treatment on it, and so one of the things that I do, and this is just for everybody, anyone that wants to update their Kali after you have left me in this class, after the class is over, this is actually a good command for updating Windows right here. And that's sudo apt update -y. So what this represents is a single command that updates your system. Next thing is sudo apt full upgrade -y. This would actually upgrade your system. So update initializes and tells the user every little program that could be updated if you would like, and upgrading it actually does install the updates. And then auto remove allows you to, like I said, remove unneeded packages. You never want unneeded packages because it's going to wind up with the endless cycle of for one reason they might be deprecated and thus deleted to begin with, so you're going to wind up wasting energy and processing power upgrading those unusable packages only for them to be basically they're just waste. So you're just wasting processing power. Now about this -y. So if you ran sudo apt update, that will be enough to get it going. And then inevitably, same thing always with the upgrade part, they ask you, do you want us to install these packages? And the reason why they need your verification is out of consideration for the fact that every package that they upgrade is a little bit more memory that's being used. So as a courtesy, they ask you, are you sure you want us to do this? But we always want to upgrade it, okay? And these are just minuscule minuscule storage. So we always want, so the -y is an automated response saying that yes. So what this long command tells us to do is to run sudo apt update and then -y as a default answer. And then it sees this double ampersand, which tells us, all right, once you're done running this command, you're going to run this command. And then once you're done with that command, we have the double ampersand. That means you're going to run this command. Now, the beauty of doing this all at once is basically you set it and then you forget it. So it takes a good 10 minutes for, if you have not done this, I recommend doing it once a week. Regardless of whether or not you're using your virtual machines, do this once a week. Now, if you'd spend like a month, it's gonna take 10, 15 minutes even. So, but I like it. It's set it and forget it because you do it once a week. You set this up. You literally copy and paste this singular command into your terminal, and I'll even do it now. So I'll copy it, and then I'll go to my terminal, and then I'll paste it. And wouldn't you know, it doesn't do it. And it does it now, wouldn't you know it, that now that I'm doing it in front of you, it won't do it. Let's try this again. Let me do clear, make sure we come, and then go to edit, and then paste clipboard, enter, and it asks me for the password, and it should be done it should be done because I just did this earlier today. And even though I did it earlier today, there's still a couple more packages that needed to be done. So anyways, once you do that, what you can do is then run sudo reboot, but I'm not going to do that right now because quite simply I just wanted to do this real quick. But that's how you can upgrade your system in general. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to make the font a little bit bigger, and it's a little bit different for every system. So let's see, desktop, appearance. Let's take a look at appearance, fonts, default font, and let's see, custom DPI setting, and default. And let's do size, and let's deja vu. Let's do Times New Roman. No, it does not show Times. Let's forget about that. I wanted Times New Roman, but let's just change the size of the font so everyone can see. And of course, it doesn't do that the way I want it. So let's view, full screen, edit, zoom in, session, preferences. Let's change the font. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And I don't know what that beep was. And of course, no Times New Roman, but though I suspect this actually will take time to show because notice how it stops here. But anyways, let's do hack. Okay, let's go to apply. Okay, and let's get back. So that's at least a little bit better. Now we're going to install Cutter on Kali. So we're going to do sudo apt install -y, and then we're going to install Risen, and then Risen-Cutter. So what this does is, as I said, now Risen is the underlying, I'm going to say, data platform, and Risen-Cutter is the kind of like the UI on top. Now it's going to ask me for my password, and it is installing Risen-Cutter. Okay, and now let's verify our install. We're going to do Risen-V, and that verifies our install. We can see Risen Risen 082, and it says at Linux ARM 64. So obviously, if you're running AMD 64, you're going to see something different. Now, according to the lab, we're supposed to be able to see we're supposed to be able to do Risen-Cutter / version, and then we have the two straight lines, and then Cutter space -- version, and it says Risen-Cutter command not found. Also, call ended because everyone left. Well, I was just using this. Let's do rejoin. I was just using this for my camera. That's all. Okay. I was just joined now. I just use Google Meet to for my camera. That's all. So you can see me talk, I guess, as if anyone cares whether or not they see me at this point. Now, Risen-Cutter it says command not found. So I put in this. So obviously, if we just put in Risen Cutter, it's going to say command not found. So in order to get things going, we just had to type in Cutter itself, Cutter, and then it starts. Okay, and then we can always double click. We'll click on check for updates on start, and then we go to continue, and then this is where it asks us to open the file. Okay, we'll work on that next time. Okay, as I said, all we wanted to do was to install Cutter, and actually the proper command to check Cutter's version is just to run Cutter, just to type in Cutter space dash dash version, and then it does verify that we have entered, that we do have Cutter 241 version 241 installed. Now your version might be a little bit different. It doesn't really matter as long as we get Cutter going. And so now that I have introduced Cutter, and now that I have shown you how to install Cutter, I now bid you adieu, and then we shall look forward to the next video. Thank you.